There's levels to this thing. I can never front, yeah, there's levels to this thing. Within my mind, so you know I'm about to take the win. Beat on solid rock, so you know I ain't gon' sing. Hey, there's levels to this thing. I'ma work till I get to see my king. Feeling like King James, like I'm about to win a ring. Man. We got the same matches, we at different levels. I'ma have to find a way to push the pedal. But my Christian race to get the gold medal.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the First Love TV show. I'm Andrea, and I'm here with Jeremy.
Hey guys.
Francisca.
What's up?
Bianca.
Hi everybody.
And Ricardo.
Hi guys.
Last week we spoke about timely valuation, and we said that it's important to value things at the right time. And tonight we're going to be looking at the theme of the 7 fat cows and the 7 lean cows. And in order to put this into perspective, I'm going to have Francisca read the story which is found in Genesis.
You guys ready? Tune in with me. Okay, let's go. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream, and no one can interpret it. But I had heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. I cannot do it, Joseph replied to Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream, I was standing on the bank of the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, fat and slick, and they grazed among the reeds. After them, 7 other cows came up, scrawny and very ugly and lean. I had never seen such ugly cows in all of the land of Egypt. The lean, ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first. But even after they ate them, no one could tell that they had done so. They looked just as ugly as before. Then I woke up. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dreams of Pharaoh are one and the same. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads of grains are 7 years. It is one and the same dream. The 7 lean, ugly cows that came up afterwards are 7 years, and so are the 7 worthless heaps of grain scorched by the east wind. They are 7 years of famine. It is just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt, but 7 years of famine will follow them. Then all the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will ravage the land. The abundance in the land will not be remembered, because the famine that follows it will be so severe. The reason the dream was given to Pharaoh in 2 forms is that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. And now let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land to take 1/5 of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. They should collect all the food of these good years that are coming and store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh, to be kept in the cities of food. This food should be held in reserve for the country, to be used during the 7 years of famine that will be upon Egypt, so that the country may not be ruined by the famine. The plan seemed good to Pharaoh and to all his officials. So Pharaoh asked them, can we find anyone like this man, one in whom Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God? Amen.
Amen.
That was a good story, wasn't it?
Good job.
Basically, from this story, you can tell that in life, you're going to have a time in your life where you're going to have years of abundance. You're going to have years where it's great. You're going to have years where everything seems to be going well. And then you're also going to have times in life where there's going to be difficulties, there may be struggles, but during that time, it's important to note that a wise person prepares for the future. A wise person doesn't just sit back and say that, oh, I'm having a time of enjoyment, let me enjoy, let me spend my money, let me just use my resources, let me buy a new car, let me buy a new house. But a person who is wise invests for those years that are to come, and that is why we're going to be talking about this story in depth, to know what are some lessons that we can learn from the book of Genesis.
I don't know if you ever heard of the story of the grasshopper and the ant. So it's a very short story. It's not so the story goes, there was a grasshopper who was friends with an ant, and one summer's day, as the grasshopper was going about his day, hopping around, singing, he saw his friend the ant scurrying about, working hard, just gathering up food and storing it into his nest. And so the grasshopper asked his friend the ant, hey, what are you doing? Come and chill out with me. Come sit back and hang out with me. And the ant tells him, oh no, I'm getting ready for winter. I'm storing up for the winter. I recommend you do the same. And the grasshopper, tells him why, it's summertime, we have plenty of time. Let's enjoy. We have all the food we have to eat now. So the ant continues to, ignores him, of course, and continues to scurry about and store up food. And when winter finally comes, the grasshopper, of course, is starving and unfortunately dies of hunger, while the ant is in his nest, and he's able to make it through the season. And so it's best to always prepare for times of need, because you never know what when your time of need will be. So you can't, like you said, use up your resources and not store up for those days ahead.
I feel like even when it's pay time, or when
Payday.
the first day, you're balling, you go out, eat at expensive places, and then when it's at the end of the month, you're stuck eating noodles or worthless food. I mean, I wouldn't say worthless, but it's not what you would eat on the basic. Yeah. And then I've realized that, some people, we just tend to waste it while it's there, because we just see it, and then when it's finished, we're just stuck, what are we gonna do next? So I feel like it's really important, the lesson we're learning, to be able to be frugal with what we have, and to be able to learn how to extend it, so you're able to last for the time being.
Yeah, true. Because even I'm gonna tell you a story about how I saved, because before I got married, both of us weren't working. Me and my husband, we weren't working, but I was able to save a little bit before we got married. And when the money we got from the wedding was all gone, we were able to dig through my savings, and we were able to survive before I got a job, and then I started working. But what if I didn't do that? We would have been sitting or coming to church, looking at each other. I know, and being all mad at God. Really, God, we're both not working. We need to eat. So I'm glad I actually did that, and we're able to survive until I got a job, and then I started working. So it's always good to plan for the future. Save $10 here, little by little, and be frugal with the little that you have.
And the Bible says the wise man sees the danger ahead. It's one of my favorite scriptures, because that means there's danger is imminent. There's always going to be a situation where you need to be prepared for it, because unfortunately that's just the life that we live in right now, and most people don't plan for the future. I know that what we're talking about seems very practical and obvious, but it's very true, and a lot of people just don't do it. And you see a lot of college students, you see that they have, most of the time we try to act like we're super broke, but there's also times where people have money.
Refund checks.
It's true. They have money. In a specific, not all the time, but it's a specific period of time. Those 7 years, or you know what I'm saying, that time of prosperity, that time where you have that money. But most people, you realize they don't know how to handle their money. That's one thing I've seen. People just don't know how to handle it. And so when they have it, they're just oh, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get this. And then people are so happy when the refund comes in. They're
oh, that's a favorite time.
Everyone's so happy, but then it just goes, and then you don't know what to do. So we have to see the danger ahead. And even in school, they teach you to have a rainy day fund, which is basically when there's a rainy day, or when there's unexpected circumstances.
Yeah.
You have money that you've saved up. It's not like you have nothing. Oh, I don't have any money saved. Right. And then when your tire blows, or when you get in an accident, or when you're in danger, or when someone gets sick and you need money, you have those funds set aside. Right. That way you know that, okay, just in case this thing happens and I'm in a state of frenzy, I have somewhere to go to that has some money. And most people are like, oh, you don't have faith in God. Like, come on, blah, 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 blah. You just pray. But no, you have to be practical sometimes. So.
And even, Uncle, when you were saying that there was a time where both of you guys didn't have a job, it reminds me of the fact that life is in cycles. And I think that during these different stages or phases in your life, it's important that when you do have a job and you're working, it's important that you're not just thinking about the now, but you're thinking about the future. You're setting things aside and thinking about what must I do in the event that something happens. And I think that a wise person thinks about the future and contemplates some of these things and doesn't just use their money anyhow.
I think that also, like Andrew was saying, life is in cycles. And you realize that as things keep like going on and on, you realize that you don't stay in one place all the time, and that's actually good and bad. Because sometimes, like the Lord is your shepherd, but sometimes God leads you through valleys.
Wow.
Like it's part of it. And most people think that, okay, once I'm a Christian, I don't have to worry about being frugal.
Perfect.
Yeah, everything's gonna be great for me. Like I'm just gonna keep going. Like everything, I'm just gonna keep lying down in green pastures. Sometimes God will literally like, take your hand and be like, okay, no, we're going down this dark path, or we're going down. You're gonna go through these challenges. So you see that, like Andrew's saying, that those are cycles, and most people think that, okay, cycles are just good, but the cycle includes the bad too. So the more that you understand that, the more prepared you are. And I've been hearing that like for a long time since I've been younger. So if I ever get to that situation, I know that from older people, from their experiences, you see, it seems like everyone goes through a particular experience, and it keeps going. Like they never end. I mean, everyone has a cycle. It's not even if you get to a certain place of prosperity, it's still there's always still some problem. There's always still some issues. So you always have to be prepared for that.
Even when you take the weather, for example, we have spring, and we all prepare for that. When it's winter, you don't go wear sandals and go out. you wear the appropriate clothes. It's the same with whatever God has given you, any resources that you have to make sure that you prepare for the future, to not just live in now and then, and then that's it. But that's our generation. We just want things now, and we just want to do everything now, but then we have to forget. We have to remember that there's also the future that we have to plan for.
Right. I like how you said earlier that, Jeremy, how you said earlier that, God sometimes takes us through dark, through the valleys sometimes. And I believe he takes us through those moments to also teach us humility, And because once you are able to go through that dark path, even when you have your season where you have, those moments when you don't have, you are able to value that,
That's true,
Like I remember when I was getting married, we really didn't have much money. I was working and he really wasn't. And so that time, like even just choosing things for our wedding, it was like, I wanted a lavish wedding. I had always dreamed of a lavish wedding, but I had to be frugal, and no one understood, but I knew that, the choices I'm making for today are going to affect us tomorrow. So even choosing little things like, candle holders, I was trying to go for like the cheapest, cutest things, whereas like others were like pressuring me to get like the more expensive things. And I was like, well, I can't do that right now. But now, even now that, we're not in that season anymore, I look back and I'm like, we have to always plan ahead. We have to always have for the times when we don't have, because you don't know, what the next season will bring. If maybe I'm out of a job or he's out of a job, you never know. So it's good to value those bad seasons also.
If you just tuned into the First Love TV show, we've been talking about the 7 fat cows and the 7 lean cows. And we said that it's important that you value your time of abundance. And in that time of abundance, it's important that you save for the future, that you think up for the future, because a time will come in life, or a cycle may come in your life in which you may be in difficulty or you may be in need. And it's important that you have resources to be able to help you in those seasons. And we're going to come back after a short break to continue this discussion.
Hi guys, my name is Francisca.
And welcome back to the First Love. What up, y'all? Welcome back to the First Love TV show. We've been talking about the 7 fat cows and the 7 lean cows, and we've said that it's important to be prudent during your times of abundance so that in the times of need you're not lacking or wanting. And we're going to continue this segment looking at different lessons and things that we must learn in order to prepare for the future. So before we went on break, we were talking about the importance of saving and preparing. So Ricardo, I believe you have a story that you would like to share.
Oh, I have so many stories. When I had a college job, or it was off campus, but it was like a seasonal job. I had a girlfriend that I worked with, and she was always wearing like designer clothing, like BCBG, like things that we really couldn't afford.
Sherry's like, what is that?
Yeah, we really couldn't. We really couldn't afford, and we both worked the same retail job, but she managed to pay for these things, and I didn't.
Credit card?
Yeah, well, I'm sure. But I remember feeling so compelled to like also do the same thing. So I would like if my check was like $200, I would go and spend all my money on one thing, you know. And I mean, I was young, guys. I'm still young, but you know, I was foolish, you know. And most times when you're foolish, you do foolish things, and you're not thinking about saving and things like that. And so I didn't value that job, or that, you know, my small amount of money, however it may have been. I didn't value it, and I recklessly spent it, you know. And so that's something that I did that I look back on and I'm like, wow, you know, for the 2 years I worked there, I probably could have saved a lot of money and like saved it for something, you know, but I didn't.
Even when you talk about spending, I remember when I was in high school and my sister gave me $1,000.
Whoa.
And
wow, your sister.
I know. Like,
Wow.
could you be my sister?
And instead of saying, oh, okay, I'm going to, you know, put the money aside, I'm going to think about the future, I went to like Nordstrom, and then Nordstrom is like a department store.
It's
And I just,
I'm letting a new store.
expensive
yeah,
department store.
and then I ended up buying jeans that were like $120. I was buying shoes and all of these different things. But when I look back now, I just sit down and think to myself, wow, if I saved $1,000,
even if you invested
if I invested $1,000, what would have been the end result today? And so it's important that you don't take your resources for granted that you've been given, and that you invest and you think about the future, not just now, like, oh, I want to please myself, or I want to be pleasing to other people, or I want to gratify myself. And all of those things are not necessary, because there will be a day where you'll need that money that you'll need to dip into.
Right. See, you guys were into like dresses and things, but I was a sneakerhead, so I love shoes, like all these Jordans, Air Maxes. I remember one time I bought shoes for like $120, and it was like, it was just because of the name brand.
Yeah.
Actually, that's why
Did you stand online for Jordans?
I was not that type of girl. I didn't stay in line, but like I'll always get them later on, and they were still pretty expensive. And I look back, I'm like, the shoes that I'm wearing now, if I humble myself, like the shoes I'm wearing now are not even like 25% like the same, like even a fourth of the same price. And I was very, very foolish, and I think it was because I just wanted to be part of like, you know, everyone is getting it. And I think about it, like our youth nowadays, like the amount they're spending on shoes alone, it's a lot. Like if you're able to, it's even a trip. You can go on a vacation with that money, like if you think about it. So I think we really had to learn how to be frugal and value, I mean, the small thing that's given to us.
Right.
So.
I mean, I did kind of like the same thing with my, not tax return, but school financial aid. When we get money back from the school, I had an apartment, so I was like, I want to finish that place, even though I knew that just a few people will come there. I'm like, if they come, they can't sit on the floor. So I went to buy me furnitures and TV that I barely watched because I was working all the time. But then I wanted to still buy all of this stuff. And now that I look back, I was like, I could have saved that $1,000, $2,000. And I know I used to get that amount back. And then it got to some time I wasn't getting any money back. And I was like, man, if I saved that would have been able. Then I was working full time, and I was like, see, if you save that would have helped. So
part-time still.
it's always good to also think about that.
The Bible says the night cometh where no man can work. And if you look at the way life is, like even in real life, the day always followed by the night. Like there's always a day and then there's always a night. And the same thing in life. There's always a time of day in our lives and then a time of night in our lives. And there's certain times where you can do certain things. Like you can work more and save that money, or like you can work and go to school, and or you have more time to work during the summer or things like that, and you can save that money. But there's gonna be a time where you don't have the opportunity. You have to work 24/7. You have to pay more bills. As a young person, you don't have as many financial obligations.
Responsibilities.
Yeah, financial responsibilities. So all the money that you get is yours. Like, you don't have to worry about, okay, my light bill. Like usually most people don't. So you just take care of yourself, really. But there's gonna be a time where there's more obligations. You have a family. I mean, I feel bad for you guys.
You'll be there. Don't worry.
You're getting there.
I'm over here
I'll give you 3-4 years.
You guys, I mean, you guys have more, but me and Francisca, I mean, we don't really have that. So, so maybe this is our day, and then you guys are at your night, in a certain sense. But yeah, so it just shows you that there's different seasons and that there's certain times where you can do certain things. So we have to make sure that when it's our day, that we make the most of the day. And you see that the smartest workers, they don't wait till the last minute, like, oh, it's night, okay, let me start doing it's like during the day, they make the most of it. And even studying, like, things like that. You don't wait till the night of before the test. Like, you wait till it's day. The day period of the exam, like way before. That's when you start studying. But if you wait till the night and then you're not frugal with that, then you're done for. You're gonna be.
You're gonna fall asleep on that paper.
And a scripture comes to mind, which, if you guys don't mind me reading it, it says Proverbs 21 verse 17. It says, "He who loves pleasure will become a poor man. He who loves wine and oil will not become rich." And as we've all been talking about not saving, as we've been talking about the night will come, when you look even in our society and things that are going on, you realize that people put their investment in the wrong things. People invest in cars, people invest in worldly things, people invest in things that can easily, temporal things that can easily just perish, instead of like investing in other things which can bring prosperity, which can bring life. We don't do that, and I think it's very important that we don't lean so much towards the gratification side, but lean more so towards things that can bring value to our lives.
And while Jeremy was talking about, we need to think about our future and everything else, and it's going to get to a point where you won't have the time to do whatever. When I got pregnant with my first baby, I couldn't work for like almost 12 weeks. And with that,
maternal leave.
If you don't save before you go, before you leave, then you're not going to have enough money to take care of bills that comes in, and then you don't even know what you're going to do because you need that money. So it's always advised to like save before you do that, because if I didn't do that, then again, we wouldn't have been able to survive. So it's always good.
And even Andrew was saying investing in the right things, and I know people don't want to hear this as students. We have to invest in education because it's big, and you can easily take it for granted because sometimes college is just so like annoying, man. Honestly, So you just
can it be over?
And,
it pays off.
I had a friend who he just finished college, and like he's like out and he's like trying to look for a job right now, and he just keeps saying like, look, when you're in school, like make the most of that time. Like you don't know how it is out here. Like, it's so different. And it's like I actually miss being in school, and like the only thing I'm worrying about is getting an A in class. Because like I mean that's like the biggest problem. Like getting a good grade on the exam, not anything else. So he's like, I mean, make the most of that time and invest in it. And sometimes I just think to myself, I'm like, it's crazy how your life is dictated by a GPA or like a number on a paper or on a screen. It's like that's like your whole life, but unfortunately, your life can be based on a test score or a GPA, like your whole life, like your whole career. So you might as well just do the best you can to invest the right amount of time and not be caught up in the parties or and all these other things like all these young people do. They don't take it seriously, and at the end of the day, when it's time to graduate, then it's like they got like a 2.2 GPA, and then that's it. So
it all matters. And I was gonna say earlier that, well, most times young people don't know how to invest because they don't cut their coat according to their own size. We go beyond what we can actually do or what we can actually afford, you know, buying cars with refund checks that you should be buying, you know, you need to live and you need that money to do other things, but yet you want to use your refund check to go and rent a car or whatever they do nowadays. So cutting our coat according to our size is also important, you know, trying to remember, you know, not to always try to keep up with the Joneses and keep up with what everyone else is doing in order to be wise.
I would also say preparing for independence while you're still dependent. Like,
Okay.
Independence.
yeah, like, I mean,
Well,
yeah.
explain a little.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a time in life like where you're dependent on your
Right.
parents for things,
Sure.
like, or you might not be living with your parents, or you might be financially dependent on them for most of what you do.
Right.
They might pay for your phone bill or things like that. So, and you don't have to think about that. But there's gonna be a time in life, like that's the daytime of your life. There's gonna be a time where it's like you're gonna have to be independent, and you're gonna have to take a step, and you have to take care of everything yourself. So you have to be prepared for that. So you can start thinking about that. Even things like marriage, even things like having a job, your career, things like that. I mean, if you're not prepared for it, you're like, oh, I'm not really thinking about that. Right? I'm going straight into it, and then you just walk in and you have no idea.
You're gonna be shocked.
Yeah, but if you're prepared for it, you're prepared. If you're prepared, then that will help you to be ready to take the next step. You don't want
Ready to be an adult.
Exactly, ready to be. You don't
Some
just wait
people
there
are
and be
like,
okay,
still act like children. You know,
Yeah,
they're like
sure.
25, 30, and they're still acting like they're 15.
Or still living with their
Or still living with their
parents.
parents.
Yeah,
Well,
that's right.
you know, for one reason or the
Yeah.
other, but you'll find that some people are not able to grow up because they don't have that. They don't know how to be independent. They don't know how to stay up on their own, or like even waking up on their own to go to work on time. You know, they need somebody to wake them up. They need somebody to tell them, hey, go and get a job. You know, they
Go take a shower.
go take
Forget it. That's another level.
I won't mention names, but there are people like that, okay?
Dang.
You have to tell them, go take a shower before they go take a shower. I have a sibling like that anyway.
Yeah, so being independent. That's I like
They're not
what you
watching
said
the
about learning to be independent while being dependent. I like that. So, yeah, learning to grow up.
If you just tuned into the First Love TV show, we've been talking about the 7 fat cows and the 7 lean cows. And we said that it's important that you invest in your future. A wise person always thinks about the future and doesn't wait until the night comes in which they can no longer work. And we said that it's very important that you consciously make efforts to plan for the future. You constantly save. You constantly utilize the resources that you're given in your time of abundance, so that in your day of struggle, in your day of adversity, you will always have something to fall back on. And we will see you guys next week as we continue this discussion. Thank you for watching. Bye. Thank you for watching the First Love TV show. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week Wednesday at 7 p.m. CST. If you're a French speaker, we invite you to attend our first service, which begins at 9 a.m. Our second service starts promptly at 11 a.m., which is in English.
If we have found grace, grace.
We are located at 7601 West Sam Houston Parkway South, Houston, Texas, 77036. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive alerts for our services and TV shows. Have a blessed and fruitful week.